My heart rate's a little high. It's power. Clearly, I'm not that fit at the moment. Change some training. I don't know if anyone else has this experience, but it's this paradox of things you care most about, just not to take too seriously. Have expectations, which makes them things you try to avoid. So this summer I got quite fit in my cycling trip, and yeah, I came back in good shape. But when I've got a good shape to keep up now, it actually put me off cycling. So basically, September and October, I did incredibly tiny amount, minuscule amount of training. I'm not genetically gifted regarding sport and exercise. I need that training to keep where I'd like to be. But that's in the past now, so who cares? I think my heart rate monitor's not working properly because it should be above 104 there. Now it's racing back up again. I don't think I'm dying. I think the Bluetooth kind of cut out. I think I started indoor training like 3 years ago, 3 years ago. That's like longer ago than that, but that's when I got a smart trainer. It allows me to see the power up on the screen and it simulates the hills. So when I'm going up or down hills on here, and I feel it. But, I live in the middle of the city, so short training is you can't really replace it. I think this will be the first of many, I hope. Maybe do a couple of these a week, like streaming training. Because if I'm honest, I don't really care that much if people watch. And I get my training in, the indoor trainer. I think I thought about getting it set up for outdoors as well. It's a bit more convoluted. Maybe we can see my progress over time. Yeah, I'm dropping into zone 3 here. I'm just doing like 170, 180 watts. It is what it is. Nothing I can do about that. What I can do something about is not saying stupid things like, it is what it is. Because what does that actually mean? It means 2 equals 2, or even equivalent to 2. It's not even an equality, it's an equivalence. Because of course 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, equivalent to 4. I hate it when I come up with these little sayings or start saying like, I'm in a hurry. You hear other people doing it, get a little bit arrogant or even obnoxious and start exclaiming that they're saying stupid things. You find it coming out of your own mouth too. Kind of fascinating, really. Where words originate from. One of the things I remember learning in my late teens, I realised that I wasn't entirely in control of my mind. Maybe not very much at all. Thoughts come to mind without our intention to have those thoughts. It's a scary realization. We're brought up to consider this as some sort of madness. Maybe it is. I don't think so. I think this is this weird assumption of complete rationality and self-control that barely actually exists. I mean, actually talking all this much, I wanted my heart rate's a bit higher. That's an excuse. No idea if my microphone's working. I don't know that on my screen right now. Hopefully it's not. Maybe not. Should check that it was streaming. It's preferential to train outside. It's dark right now. The thing is, I just hate cars. So I was knocked off my bike 6 years ago in hospital. And I had a lot of pain, kind of pain that stops you from sleeping. And they missed the fracture in my foot. It didn't heal properly. I think I put it down to a lot of strength training, squats and that kind of thing. And it's got better very gradually over time. Quite my left ankle's not quite as nice as my right. Of course, that puts me off outdoor training, especially if it's mainly urban. It's a shame. Last year I was doing the races. This is my whoosh, this platform. But I've also, I used to use Swift, which you actually have to pay for. Then you race. That's fun. Jesus, it's like Mario Kart. Your heart rate's at 180. Now I'm going to feel this hill in the trainer. It's like being in the arcades. I think this would be a good arcade machine. The first point that really reminds me of that, I don't know. Should be aiming at a consistent heart rate, just consistent power, flat. Consistent power in every case. Some flats are working faster. I think it's when you're cycling, the aerodynamics matters a lot. So actually putting a little bit more power in on the hills is maybe optimal. It's not losing energy to wind resistance. feeling getting to the top of the hill. Virtual one. My gears aren't perfectly set up. I'm in a climbing gear right here. It's a little gradient. I'm having a bit of a frustrating time with my work at the moment. I have some very interesting results, but my simulator that I've been using to gain the theoretical results is too slow. So I need to make sure it uses the GPUs much faster to these things in parallel. I just keep having problems. And time keeps ticking. And there's always the worry someone else will publish before you. I say it's the most stressful thing in my life right now. Sense of expectation, mistakes in the past, and if you've done your research more efficiently, thinking about it. In fact, I have some very interesting results, potentially interesting results on the cosmological scale, explaining why galaxy clusters form. But I haven't seen this research being conducted. It's a really bit of first of its kind. And I have a good research group. And support that work. Responsibility to your own shoulders. Sometimes it's a bit to blame other people. So often the case. The talking is an added challenge with this indoor cycling. If you think about that. It gets very warm. Hopefully the noise cancelling is working. And in which case you won't be able to hear the sound of the bike and the fan. And yeah, just let me know if I upload this in the comments. And you can in the comments explain that the sound is terrible, although by that time I will know myself. That's what today's all about, trying it out. Every uphill there's a downhill. But if you go to loop at least. Of course, if your field it's time dependent, that means you may lose conservation of the gradient. Yeah, it's physics all around us. That's when it's just most beautiful. When you just play with theorems and see the applications in the world around you. For example, really all the gradients of a landscape is just a gravitational field. Think of it as some kind of external field that acts upon you. Now, on the time scale that we're used to, it stays constant in time. Like Mount Everest is effectively the same height with one as when we die. Different time scales, this isn't the case. So, time dependent gravitational field. Things exist. Then you have to think, what's your coordinate system? We often think of our coordinate system as being arbitrarily dependent on some place on Earth, the planet itself. Solar system. course, it depends on the application. That's the thing. It's always dependent on the application. And that's more than just physics, of course. Morality. My master's thesis, best ideas came from riding side. Like, it's really a nice form of meditation almost. You have an effective rhythm, which on the screen is my cadence. And I'm usually around 80 RPM, training too strictly. Usually around 2 beats of rotation, like that. See, this rhythm you get into, it's actually much easier when you're training indoors. Interesting vocalizing your thoughts like this. Internal monologue. During the summer, it's the first time I recorded any data, my heart rate, and even the distance I traveled compared to my trips from, say, 2017 even. It was really interesting. I could see exactly how many minutes I was on the mic every day. It was almost always 8.5 hours. The optimal amount of time. You take a lot of breaks. Start taking pictures, lose yourself. I never really knew how many hours I was actually pedaling for. Amazing the technology out there. You can buy these Bluetooth microphones for €50. I would have loved as a child. Geek as a child. Electronics apart. I guess that's something that's lost with the miniaturization of electronics. It's much harder to disassemble the study of the circuitry. That's one thing I noticed as I started tired. Set the RPM starts to come down. Doesn't necessarily mean that my power comes down, increase the gear, then I'm increasing the torque. So the strain, it's more the muscle or the strength. So higher RPM, it's your heart. Muscle. You can play around a bit with the cadence. Use it to advantage of taking a bit of pressure off the heart if your heart rate goes up. You need your legs in a race, for example, a sprint. Maybe I try sprint out the day before finishing the stream. Well, so I do a lot of strength training as well, or had been, but I've also been lazy about that. Or at least I actually got an injury in my arm. It's kind of a sprain forearm. So I went to the gym last night. Still getting problems for about 6 weeks. That's difficult. That's the longest I've been without going to a gym. It's the lockdown. 4 or 5 years. Been going pretty consistently. I don't lift massive weights. Of all the powerlifting exercises, my chest is the strongest. I think my personal best is 120 kilos, including the bar, of course. My body weight is pretty good. If for some reason anybody's watching this video, then feel free to write in the comments what you want me to talk about in the next session. Yeah, let's see. We do it in the next session. I mean, there will be, but I must say it's more challenging doing this training while talking. I don't know if I'd ever stream a race. I get pretty triggered. My heart rate, maximum heart rate this year has been over 200 beats per minute. You really go to a place. It's much more challenging than weightlifting, psychologically. Weightlifting can be fun. Weightlifting's more social. What about doing some exercise videos or just chatting about exercise in general? Especially for anyone that's a lot younger than me. Because when I was at school, I'm really not into sport, any kind of exercise. I think the most exercise I got was playing the guitar, which is something. Actually, the long service of the electric guitar. Sport in school was just not being taught properly. As I got older, I realised it made me happy and satisfied with myself. Yeah, I'm glad I learned it as early as I did. But a genetically gifted individual, whether it be strength training or cardio, it's not about that. And you're competing with yourself, really. That's what you don't have to learn at school. You shouldn't really be competing with others so much. It's always 50% of people will be put off sport that way. Just think about how it connects some other things in your life. Then you learn to enjoy it. Later on in life. I'm actually planning to do a charity event just before Christmas. It's not completely concrete yet. The whole idea would be to do this and then have a minimum distance I have to get to in one day. Maybe like 200, 250 kilometers. This is pretty realistic, the speed for the power that I put out here. And try and raise some more money for a good cause in Ukraine. So there's a Ukrainian Nana I'm in contact with, and I'll probably see what course she recommends. And I feel like I should do more for other people. So if anyone watches this that donated to my summer charity event, big heartfelt thank you again. We raised this nearly just under €2,000, and 50% of that went to demining, and that's multiple square kilometers of demining. We completed that. But the invasion is not over. Russia continues to abuse not just Ukraine, but their own soldiers. They're not fed properly, treated properly, used as fodder. It's sad. But we have to appreciate what we have. We live in a country of peace. That's something that a lot of people can't say right now. Shouldn't take that for granted. Throughout the day, feel pissed off. You start victimizing yourself. Just remember that. The people in the world without food, Palestinians in Gaza, suffering. The Israelis that were taken as hostages. So the fact is, every human being is not equal, not a priori. We get to choose to define what equality means. Notion of universal ethics is one that's rooted in religion, really. No reason, other reason to argue for it. Certainly in a way that's innate to the world. There's something close to it. You can consider human beings social creatures. Therefore, we need to cooperate, sense of community. We work better when we value life rather than destroy it. That's just an emergent property in biology. Like you have emergent chemical properties, physics become chemistry. Can't argue against those. Almost like universal ethics. It doesn't mean anything unless we decide. Oh, I wish I didn't say I was going to do that sprint now. Committed to it. I'll do it in 20 minutes before the end of the workout. Actually, it's going to be longer than that. First 10 minutes and last 10 minutes of the workout, it's like the really hard parts. But as you can see, my power has dropped quite a bit. Around 150 watts. That's when I can start to sustain it for many hours. Take the effort off the legs and put it onto the heart. Increase the cadence a bit. There we go. It's been a lot more challenging than I planned. I haven't drunk much water yet though. If anyone ever needs any cycling advice, I'd love to help people with their bikes, building them or to take on a tour. Well, this frame I'm sitting on for £40, second-hand from the UK. It's a bit too big for me, so I made it into the indoor trainer. It's a nice frame. Here's a bit. There's lots of interesting engineering problems with cycling. For example, like the building of bike wheels, or even the angle at which the chain goes from the rear cassette, the rear cogs to the front cogs. All these things have an effect. It's called your chain line. Your chain line is where the chain is going exactly perpendicular, parallel with the frame. And that's the most efficient place for the chain to be, because it's not bending. Because there's only one for each front cog, there's only one cog at the back. It's perfectly in line. Oh, looking forward to my food after this. Makes a nice stuff, I think. Fish, veggies. Sprint was nearly 500 watts for 30 seconds. Pretty good. Sprinting by weakness cycling. I don't think I'll get that today. Wish I could put music on, but then I have to put all the loyalty free, whatever it's called. Music is a bit naff, really. Really hard workouts. I like to listen to the cyberpunk soundtrack, stuff like that. Or just the longer rides, maybe some classical music. Shostakovich. 11 kilometers to go, about 20 done. Confused Strava why this was so hard for me. Needed this workout today. 180 beats per minute. Done the sprints at the beginning, it would have been more impressive. Need to go. What's called a full flat. It looks flat, but it's not. Often you feel this way if you've gone up a steeper climb first. But it's just a gradual change. So Hassan's not the only one that uses bots. My wish also has bots riding around the circuit. Usually tell by their power. Very, very even. This guy that's just passed me, maybe he is real. do some of that interval training. To be honest, I'm counting the kilometers at this point. Whew. It's very hard to do. In the end, it helps to count the kilometers you've already ridden rather than the ones you have left. Milestones that you aim for. And 2.5k and 25 kilometers. Just over there. The last 5 kilometer run. The advantages of using clip pedals is that you don't just push, you pull. Which uses your hamstrings, so it's not entirely quad dominant. Just have flat pedals with normal shoes. You can only push down the pedals. So it's not only just less efficient, but leads to an asymmetry in your leg muscles. Really all that good for them. Next to go, I'm at 25k. Increase the power, simulate racing. The last lap's usually a bit faster. The cadence is right down. We have to edit this and edit out the silent points. $24.1K. Increase that cadence a bit. I'm curious how much of the noise is being cancelled out. Right now I can hear my fan blowing. The bike needs oiling and it's a bit noisy. The bearings in my pedal are squeaky. I can't get the cadence up. There we go, come on. Around 90, very good. The sprint will only be for the last 400 meters. About 4 kilometers now, 1.5. 25K down. Motivating. It's going through my head, some of my research I'm doing at the moment, what to prioritize. Having a meeting on Wednesday with the researcher from Italy, I believe. And it's usually a good time just before to binge work. So I have a lot of simulation results already. And then the question is how to analyze those results. The big common things you look for in physics: new phases of matter. The commonly known ones, for example, ice and gases and such like. But there's microphases often exist in between. And each phase is accompanied by a breaking of some kind of symmetry. So when you have a system with an added symmetry that is broken, you expect a new phase. That's what I've discovered. The question is it a microphase? If it's not a microphase, what order is the phase? The universality class of the phase. There's a lot of work to be done. Sadly, someone got there before me in 2 cases. It wasn't even before me, before I published. That's kind of stressful. The other thing that I often have to deal with, what are known as finite size effects. So some properties of systems are intrinsic and some of them extrinsic. Some systems, property you see is simply because of the system size. So we often work in what's called periodic boundary conditions. So if you have a square, top of the square comes back to the bottom, vice versa. And if you imagine the shape of this, it will be a donut. And that's called a torus. Some properties you'll observe because of a finite torus. And the most interesting thing usually is the infinitely large torus, but there are no paths back to the spin or object itself in the system. Okay, less than 4K to go. Let's go. In a good zone 3 work, I'll run zone 2. Pretty refreshed now. Let's go. Go try a weight training session after one room is a gym, basically. Stream that. Okay, start hill now. Let's go. 3K. Kilometers before the sprint. Right at the end now. Do some Monday training. Still going downhill. Not quite as much as before. Just over a kilometer now. de Gent. Dat is vlakbij. Gewoon naar 30 kilometer naar Brugge. Dat heet Gent. Needs to live near there. Okay, let's get ready for this. Okay, let's go. Well, if you managed to watch this far, please like, comment, and subscribe.